today was the Charlie Carrel show.
Oh, for sure. 103 million. Massive chip lead.
Unbelievable. He is at the top of the leaderboard.
If you want to be successful at poker, you have to, in some parts of yourself, be able to be a cold-blooded killer.
My sincerest apologies.
My sincerest apologies.
You have to want to take that person's money, no matter what that person's situation is. He might be playing with his last 5,000 euros. If you have even an ounce of empathy inside yourself for that man, you have to release it whilst you're playing it. It turns you into a very predatory person. It's the nature of the game.
Well, Charlie, you don't need to show everyone how rich you are. We already know.
My name is Charlie Carrel. I am a professional poker player turned social entrepreneur. My story professionally is that before university, I took a year out to see if I could make it as a professional poker player. Went and lived with my grandma, played for 16 hours a day, and I made it as a professional poker player. And this is my new and not so humble home. So I would say my favorite room in the house, and I spend a lot of time singing in here. Just like the ones I used to know. As someone who came from very, let's say, humble backgrounds, I never had any money, I never was able to travel. I'm so grateful for every single second of it. Listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. So a lot of my time and energy now is focused towards my two charities. The two charities are centered around trying to lift people out of poverty, starting with tackling homelessness in London specifically. I think the initial stigma around poker is still very negative. If somebody asks me, what do you do for a living? I'm always a bit hesitant to just say I'm a poker player, because you're very open then to a taxi driver giving you a 30-minute rant about how it's impossible to win and how it's just gambling and how it's, you know, that you've heard the same things a million times. So people will ask, okay, what's the biggest amount you've ever won? Which you'd never ask to like a lawyer, like what's the most you've ever made in a month or something like that. Yeah, I guess the motivation at first behind poker was I saw it as a means to an end. I saw the lifestyle of a professional poker player and it's like, wow, play a game that's hella interesting, travel around the world making money and be financially independent. So I won my first tournament online for $200,000 and it was huge for me at the time. My personal favorite poker memory is winning the Scoop Online main event, which was for 1.2 million. It's weird, like people never describe playing poker as an addiction unless the person's unsuccessful. Now I'm focusing so much of my poker time on coaching because I love the idea of taking someone who's a good person, giving them a push in the right direction to let their intuition, their skill and their talent manifest into a career. And that's kind of what I'm doing with Helena at the moment, who's my longest friend. I've known her since I was 17. If you want to be playing poker successfully, you have to be on your A game. And that has to be consistent throughout the day. You have to be extremely honest with yourself. And you won't hear this in many places, especially with people that are teaching poker, because it's not in their best interest of saying it. But 98% of people who want to be a professional poker player probably don't have what it takes.